It was a good scrimmage, honestly, to get done what we needed to get done, finishing up the camp here. I think that we took, we've had a really physical camp, which has been good. So we took a little bit different approach, I thought, to the scrimmage as far as we wanted to get done out of it. A little bit more organized, forcing situations and getting some of those things done. But I thought we got out of it what we wanted to. I thought we got out there and we competed. There was 8 to 10 players that you kind of want to see under the lights one more time, and had an opportunity to do that and get some good evaluations on some young guys that are right on the border of making a bus, or right on the border of making a team, or right on the border of making a decision between a second or third guy on the depth chart. And I thought there was some good solidification, some good movement that came from that. I thought it was really good to see Adam Moore, feeling more and more confident about him being able to be in the game and be an every down type of player. It's good that we got guys ahead of him that are still really talented, right? Professional type guys that are going to set the tone for our tight end room. But he's a guy that's developed. He's come a long way. He's kind of learned our offense and invested in what this place is. And this is, Dallas is kind of like a foreign country to him. So coming in here and being a part of this it's been fun to watch him develop, and I'm excited to watch him, have some opportunities this fall.
Casey, a lot of coaches talk about how the no limits to on-field coaches make it so the younger guys get a lot better. But how does it make you as a coordinator better to have no limits on that?
Well, that's a great question. You have all the help that you need from those standpoints, right? I think that there's a lot of logistics that you had to operate before in the past, and hey, this is what coaching is, this is what coaching isn't. So you can encourage, but you can't direct, and you can clap, but you can't pat, or whatever. So it's without having to do that, you relieve some of the restraints there. It also opens up meeting times that I think are really good, right? We got to get in there and invest as a staff and on our game plan and what it is that we're doing. Now I got a young coach, and Parker's was a GA anyway, but you get other guys that can go take meeting time, and that ordinarily they couldn't have done, right? They couldn't have an instructional meeting with somebody before. Now they can go take that off your plate, and they can just being involved in the coaching activities gives them great reps, right? That's my advice to them is two things: never miss a rep and try to save them all, right? At this point in their career, they need to be invested in saving every member of our team and making every member of our team better. And there's hard decisions that get made at the top above them, but in their role, right, we're trying to get everybody to class, and we're trying to make sure everybody's got a great attitude, and we're trying to make sure that when we go to scouts that it's all right, you got to invest this way or another, and giving those guys the opportunity, and they're young and they're energetic and they're believe in what it is that's going on, just like we all did at one point, coming into this thing. And so it's fun to watch them get reps. It's a great it kind of gives us less work a little bit, because we don't have to evaluate every move that we make to stay compliant with what all is going on. And then the other part of that is kind of feeling out what it's going to take to operate and execute from a coaching standpoint. You know what I mean? I certainly think you can have too many people, right, giving instruction, and that's another thing for these young coaches. It's it's your young coach, your opportunity to make a rep, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, hey, you feel free to give your opinion on how it is that we ought to make this coaching point. But once we make this coaching point, we're both saying the same thing. So they're not getting 5 different instructions on one way to execute. And so finding a good balance, I think, moving forward with how the staff's going to look. This gives us a great opportunity to evaluate exactly how many people it's going to take, and it's really cool to see those young guys get out there. I remember, I'd worked for 4 years in one of those kind of entry-level roles trying to bust into this thing, and so it's cool to see those guys have energy and get an opportunity.
What goes into balancing that physicality where you don't want your running back to be surprised when he gets that first tackle week 1, but also not wanting to risk any injury?
Yeah, Coach Lashley said this, and I thought this was really profound. I've had my butt whipped in the past because we weren't physical enough. I've never had my butt kicked because this one great player got hurt, and it was, you know what I mean? And not that can't happen, and you can't be dumb tough. You'll hear him talk about that a lot. There's no reason for us to take our best, most seasoned players, put them in a position to get injured in something that's routine play that they can already make. So that's not what we're looking to do. But I think straining the toughness, you can go. I've been part of teams where I've got my ass kicked because we weren't tough enough, and so we will make sure that that's not the case. Moving into a league where they're tougher and that they are more physical, and I think that there's balance and there's conversation, and you got to go back and forth. And I think he's done a great job taking the pulse of the team. And we've got an older team with good leaders, and they understand what it is that we're trying to get out of here. And some of our best leaders, like Justin Osborne, showing up to practice every day and wearing all his pads when it's a non-pad drill and sprinting. That's just a great example for everybody. It's a great example for, what we want this team to achieve. And he's a guy that's kind of set the tone for that, amongst others. So.
When you came out of spring, I'm sure there were things you wanted to see during camp. What were those, and what has maybe giving you more confidence, or just in your group specifically?
In the tight end group is what or the offense.
Yeah.
So offensively, we knew that we needed to build depth in our offensive line, and it was probably the wildest bunch that we had. And we got great talent, most talent we've had since I've been here, most athletic we've been since I've been here. But just wilder, and getting that group to gel, because they just got to operate with such dependence on one another, to be able to get that executed. So we knew we had to come out of that with more depth. I think that we we recruited it, got some guys here on campus that could help us compete, and two, that's given us layers of depth. And there's still some guys that we brought in that aren't ready to play, but they did provide us opportunity to really push those first guys to get together and start to gel them. We've been able to move around some guys to really consistently build that. I think that we've got experience in the receiver room, so building up some of those young guys and giving them an opportunity, like Jamarian Carroll, Randy Reese, some of those guys to show up for the first time in the tight end room. I mentioned Adam Moore. Matthew Hibner was an awesome addition to what it is that we're trying to get done. Now we feel like we got really co-starters at that position, and then Adam building up to that. Our running backs have been unfortunate about Kamar and all that, but we're really building in everybody else that we got. We got Brashard Smith coming along and learning really a position that he's not played since Pee Wee ball. And so having an opportunity over the course of spring and summer to build him in a position to go out and execute is, building depth was probably the biggest thing that we wanted to get done, to answer your original question. And I think that we've done that. I think we've answered some questions about young guys that are building their way up, and we're taking evaluations on a team that was recruited to play in the American, and now who is it that can play in the Atlantic Coast, and making sure that we're ready. Moving, recruiting never stops, right? Recruiting never stops. So having an evaluation of what that 25 team looks like, and making sure that we're still doing the right things to build that team while still also trying to win games.
Can you get a sense of that in the first couple of weeks, or does it really take a few weeks to see what guys, hey, these guys can compete at an ACC?
Yeah, no, I think that our bye weeks kind of fall in. It's going to help us this year, the way that they fall, right? That fourth week, it's every 3 weeks, right? Basically. So I think that you'll have great opportunities at especially those first two bye weeks to evaluate your team. Then that last bye week, now you got to evaluate, okay, who may move on, who's, what guys are leaving for sure, what underclassmen have an opportunity to go to the NFL, is there any, portal concerns, things like that. There's a constant evaluation that takes place. And, Coach Lashley's got a great exercise for us that we do, that we'll do a couple times during the course of the season, that we've got to go that first bye week, and we got to go in there as a staff, and we got to say, all right, when we kick off the season versus whoever we kick off with in 25, right, we're going to take the field against this team. Who is it that's going to start for us? And I think that we got to draw them up. And if there's somebody missing, right, if we don't have a starting left guard, really the two deep, right? If we don't have a starting left guard, or we don't have and those are arbitrary guesses, right? Or a backup slot receiver, okay, that's what you got to answer through more experienced players probably. And then you got to have the conversations about guys that, we've got the best class SMU's ever signed, at least since they've been keeping rankings of that building right now. And so we got to evaluate those guys that, who do we think can come in, contribute as freshmen, and they're all part of that kind of that grid that you're making, and to build that two deep headed into the first game of 25. I know we're here to answer questions about 24, but we're getting out there, man. That's so.
back to 24. You've got Preston and Kevin who've been competing, who've both played in games, won big games, contributed. How do you guys handle them this season and just trying to keep both happy and maybe?
Yeah, it's a challenge and an excitement at the same time. The best thing that we got with them right now is their professional approach and attitude. They've taken great relief off of us and great relief off of themselves by being so supportive of each other, and I think that both of them want to win, both of them are capable of winning, both of them are going to contribute and help us win this season, and I think that as we get to that, who's jogging out there to take the first snap and all, those decisions will come, and our team's got to embrace that and lift it up, and I think we've got a mature team that's able to do that. I think we got 25 seniors, so it's guys that have been through these experiences. And there's not an unknown that exists. It's a lot of times when you're watching quarterbacks compete in those situations that maybe it's nobody's ever started before, and all right, we're taking a risk on somebody. It's a little bit low risk who we send out there first. You know what I mean? We got two guys that can win in this league, two guys that have proven to be able to win, and so they're fun guys to coach. Our team loves them. They surround them. And the nature of the beast, they're both going to have to play and help us win this year. So really excited. Once we get to that point, then obviously I know Coach Lashley will handle that. But we've barely missed a beat this fall camp. They've been supportive of each other. We can rotate them in and out day by day, and there's not huge shifts in the offense. I think we can execute what it is that we want to do. Both of them are operating within the system the way we want them to, and both of them have natural playmaking ability. So it's the biggest challenge I think for them is, right, Kevin Jennings can't try to be Preston. Preston can't try to be Kevin. Like, they got to be their own versions of themselves and go do that. Don't try to make plays that you wouldn't ordinarily make. Go make the plays that you would make. Let him make the plays he's going to make, and then let us evaluate and put us in the right position to win and score points.
Do you think y'all have made the decision yet about who's going to take that first snap?
No, I don't think so. I think there's ongoing conversation, as there has been since January, right? So I think that we've got a good mindset about, hey, we want to evaluate this thing all the way to the end and let those guys compete and separate themselves in the places where they could or couldn't. I don't think that there's a enormous, when you take a snapshot of our offense, you send whoever you send out there, I don't think that you feel strongly one way or the other about, oh gosh, we can't execute this part of our offense, or this is going to give us trouble, or anything like that. I think it's going to be it's a good problem to have, but it's a challenge, that, and we're ready for it, and that's why they put us in these positions, and fortunately we've got two proven winners that are really good, strong men, and they believe in themselves, they believe in this team, and we're going to execute at a high level either way.
Any initial impressions on Nevada's defense, or what they think? Yeah.
Does anybody know how that's pronounced?
Saying it both. Don't need the fans coming after me.
No, there's a town in Iowa called Nevada, I think. So I'm pretty sure it's not that one. Yep. Pretty sure it's not that one. But I got great respect for Coach Choate. He's been a winner everywhere he's been. It ain't gonna take them long to get good, and I know that in this portal world that we live in, I think maybe Dave Aranda had a quote about this or something that was like, how do you even know who to evaluate? Who's on their, we got like their roster, and we got kind of their beat writer says this guy may play, but it's like, we're gonna jog out there and you have, they've got, okay, well, I know that guy's a good player, I know that guy's a good player, we can probably fit in where they're gonna end up. So from a personnel standpoint, you got to believe that in the era that we're playing in college football, that you're going to have experienced enough tackling hitters. You know what I mean? They're not going to go out there and put somebody that can't play out there because they're forced to. They're going to have somebody who's going to have experience in playing football. So that they're going to be sound enough from that standpoint. Schematically, he's been a success for a lot of years. He's reunited with this defensive coordinator that he was with at Montana State. So seeing those guys execute when they were at Montana State, man, they had it rolling. So, and then certainly he's been around winning down there with Sark and those guys these past couple of years. So I think it's going to be a really good challenge for us. We coaches talked about raising it all off season, right? We got 9 months of trying to raise it, and we have an opportunity to go up there into a different kind of environment than our kids are used to playing in, and and see where we're at, see how far we have raised it. And so that'll be a great challenge. Look forward to getting up there and seeing what we're all about.